and gentlemen, good evening. Thank you for being here with us at this time of the day. We have specifically selected this time window to give the opportunity for business people outside Greece, especially the US, to view this discussion online and realize our market potential. Having said that, it's a pleasure having with us Mr. Oriol Peña, Senior Director of Asset Management from HIP, which is Blackstone's hotel investment platform, and Mr. Theologos Mintzas, partner from the legal firm PotamitisVekris, with vast experience in the real estate sector. So, gentlemen, I'll start with Theologos, giving the time for Mr. Peña to take his breath, to catch his breath. So, the Greek real estate market is booming. We've discussed it several times in the past. FDI is increasing, new developments are in place, new players, international and the local, keep coming. I would like to ask you what is differentiating this booming from the past ones?
Yeah. First of all, I would like to thank the American Hellenic Chambers for having us here tonight. It's a pleasure and a great honor. Well, it's a good question. I think the very boom that we are seeing is by itself something unique. I can't say if it's unprecedented or not, but it's unique. The numbers are really astonishing. You talked about FDIs, and in 2022 we saw more than 90% increase compared to last year, out of which which accounts for 5.3 billion, I think, out of which 30% relates to real estate management and development. And that doesn't take into account real estate transactions. It's only about the management and the development. And of course, since we are talking about foreign direct investment, it doesn't account for investment by national players, which has increased a lot. So I don't want to be over-optimistic and draw a picture that is a bit in contrast with what we are living. But if you separate the Greek real estate market, it's really booming. So of course, we'll see what will happen with the war in Ukraine. It's an important factor, and the energy crisis and prices and everything. And in Greece, everything comes good and bad with some delay, but we'll see. For the moment, I think the real estate market in Greece is in a very good shape. And also, I think what's different, and we see that in practice, is that we see, you mentioned new players, that's true. And we see a lot of diversity in investment. So, of course, there is a touristic sector, which is traditionally in the center of attention in Greece. But even there, we see new trends like integrated touristic resorts, like luxury hotels and luxury residences, which is new. We see professional management services in Greece for the first time, for both from international and national players. And also we have logistics, go outside the touristic sector, data centers, which is quite hot right now in Greece. We've got serviced apartments, new malls like experience malls and stuff like that. So all this is new. Like if you go back like 5-10 years, you couldn't see any of this in Greece. And also something that I'm very happy for is that I see that investments, and that is both about Greek and international investors, they do try and take into account sustainability concerns, which is also something new. So yeah, a lot has changed.
Okay. Oriol, you're a living example of a success story of a foreign company investing in Greece. What is your opinion about the current market status?
Well, first of all, thanks also to the American Hellenic Chamber for the invitation. As you know, we invest in hospitality, and the truth is that we are very happy so far with our deployment here in the country. Answering your question, I mean, from a broader perspective, We believe that, the real estate sector in general in Greece, as Theo was commenting, it's really booming. That's a fact. We see that the prices are still around 15 to 20% below the pre-global financial crisis levels. And also we see that the huge increase in prices that has been, I'm talking about housing now, that has been in the recent years, which is about 30% in the last 7 years, more or less, which is huge. It's still below other European countries' increases. So what we see, or what we can infer, is that the housing sector in general is not overwarm yet or overheated yet. Going to the hospitality real estate, where we are an active player right now, what we see in the last 2 years, I would say, it's a lot of interest, a lot of activity. There are a lot of new players, either institutional funds as ourselves, but also family offices, sovereign wealth funds as well, that are really keen in entering the country. So, I mean, these are very, very positive signs. It's true that the global turmoil that we are living nowadays generates some kind of, does not allow to look farther about the future of the sector. But it's true that, I mean, there are positive signs. There is a lot of activity. There is a lot of willingness to invest in Greece. And again, I'm talking now about hospitality. And I think that is very positive. I mean,
you've intrigued me with by your reply. What about, you told me about prices that are 15 to 20% below average European levels, but what about quality? Because when you have to, when you have to compare the markets, you also need to compare, besides the price, you also need to compare the quality of the product. Is the quality of the product equal to what somebody should expect from a European country? Not only, primarily in the hospitality sector, I mean, the property itself, not the operation, not the management.
Again, I have my views on the general market, but it's true that I would like to focus on the hospitality, where we have a better insight, let's say. The quality, I mean, in terms of products that are quite unique, regardless of the state of the product, I think that Greece has huge potential. I mean, Greece has around, I would say, 10,000 hotels, more or less. And the locations of the hotels in general are pretty unique. So in that sense, the quality, that for me at the end in real estate location, it's a very important factor, as you all know. I mean, I can talk about really quality products. It's true that due to the crisis that hit the country in the last 10, 12 years, the quality in terms of the hotels themselves, the hardware of the hotels, the bones of the hotels is not in the best condition, but that also gives space for repositioning and generating value through investment, you know, and that I think it's a little bit the trend that we're seeing now in the country.
That's very interesting. Theologos, what do you see the role of the state in all this? I mean, how the state can, in a way, can help us moving forward in terms of the real estate sector?
Well, I mean, the role of the state by default is quite crucial. It can destroy investments and the investment environment, and can, you know, create a ground that will allow investments to increase. And fortunately, I think, I think I'm fair in saying this, is that in the last years, the state has been in the right direction with its policies, and it has been supportive of investments in Greece. I can name a few reasons why I'm saying this. I think, so what is quite important for investments in real estate in Greece, in my view, is land registration and land planning. So, as we know, Greece operated for centuries with a land registry and not a cadastre. We didn't have forest maps. We didn't register our archaeological sites, which are quite many in Greece, and we didn't have town planning. And all this has changed. There's a current in improving in all these areas, so which is, I think, quite important. And it's from the things that being a lawyer is tough to explain to an international investor. I mean, that Greece lacks in these areas. But again, we have done big steps in the right direction, so that's something quite important. And I would also name the digitalization, which, I mean, there is a huge wave in digitalizing the Greek administration, and real estate market has been one. I've been fortunate enough to see many changes there too, and many electronic platforms that allow for digital transactions and issuance of certificates, which speed up processes quite a lot. I think what is important, and it's not quite obvious, is the progress and the speed up of infrastructure, of major infrastructure projects, which, again, we lacked a lot in this field also, but we saw many important privatization and infrastructure projects progressing, like national roads, Agnatia, VOAC in Crete, marinas, ports. So if we want to have a sustainable, from an investment perspective, a sustainable real estate market in Greece, we also need to think, infrastructure and all these important things that a country must have to support real estate investment. So that is also something which, with the help of the state, has progressed a lot. And I think something that is also important is the speeding up of licensing processes, which we mainly saw recently with the strategic investment concept, which has been promoted and expanded a lot, which is good. And a legal take here is that I think that it has been accepted by the courts also. So this is also an important step, the strategic investment concept, which allows for quick licensing, state subsidies, tax incentives, stuff like that. This also, for example, the data centers of Microsoft and the business hub of Pfizer came into Greece with, after being subjected to this framework. So yeah, I think the role, fortunately, in Greece of the state has been positive in the last years.
Okay, thank you. Oriol, what's your opinion on this? Have you seen any peculiar obstacles in your penetration in the Greek market? Anything that made ask yourself, what am I doing here?
Besides the language.
Sorry, I assume I don't have infinite time, so if it's... Αν είναι εύκολο να βλέπω το χρόνο που μας απομένει, thank you. So, you were saying?
Well, first of all, I fully agree with Theo's point, especially in the willingness of the administration at the end to transform the country into a more investment-friendly environment, I would say. And this, we have seen it firsthand since the moment we acquired our first hotels in the country, and also during the process of repositioning, which we have refurbished all our hotels. So all the refurbishment process related to permitting, licensing, etc., we have seen it firsthand. So there is a clear willingness of the current administration in order to help and facilitate this environment. And this actually, we can see it in many different ways. This effort is paying off. I mean, if you look at the direct foreign investment in the country for the last year, it has been growing a lot. And also, as was recently published by Bloomberg, I mean, the country is well positioned in order to obtain the investment grade probably during 2023. So I mean, I think this effort is paying off. It's true that there is still a lot of work to be done, but there is a clear willingness to facilitate foreign investment in the country, and especially in our sector. What for me was also very crucial, knowing the administration that the tourism and hospitality in the country plays a huge role. It's a great contributor to the economy and to the GDP. during the pandemic, I think the central government and all the related agencies help a lot, to support the sector by doing very tactical moves, but also strategical moves, promoting the country abroad, positioning the country to other markets. And I really think that talking now about hospitality and tourism, Greece is coming stronger after the COVID crisis, and in part, I think, is thanks to the effort done by the administration.
Okay, thank you. Theologos, some large distortion happened during booming times. I mean, people become lazy and they're reluctant due to the success. So, what do you think that would be improved, and what risks do you see ahead? And more important, can we distinguish short-term risks from long-term risks? How can we do that, if possible?
That's a good question. About what could be improved, I think, well, we have done many good steps. We have progressed a lot in the real estate market, but obviously there are many things that still need to be done. I think the most obvious problem that should be addressed is the bureaucracy and the red tape surrounding real estate, and I'm speaking about real estate in a broad sense here, development, construction, licensing, and everything that comes with a real estate investment. So, yeah, I mean, perhaps everybody in this room has tried to buy or sell a property, and it's a painful process still. I mean, we still need more than 10 certificates, and it takes, on average, a month or two to conclude if things go well, in transaction. And so it's a bit legal, but I want to share this. So in order to acquire ownership of a property in Greece, it has to be registered with the land registry. And this takes months in many land registries still in Greece, like 2, 3, 4 months. This is crazy. It's unexplainable to an international investor, and it's painful for everybody, and for Greeks also. So yeah, that should be changed. I think we should speed up the process for planning of the land and registration of the land, especially in the town planning part. We see some hiccups there, and I think that should be, governments should speed up the process here. It's quite critical in my mind to have a safe environment and attract investments in the market. It's impossible without town planning. I think another obvious problem is the judicial system and the delays that come with litigating a case in Greece. It still takes ages, and that has to change yesterday. We cannot go on like this. We are one of the few countries in Europe and the Western world that practically we refuse to litigate cases here in Greece. And I think, I don't know, that might sound a bit strange, but I think that if we train judges in economic terms, in investments, and in commercial aspects, I think that would allow for better decisions, like more fair and more close to what happens in the market, and not the strange results that we often see in litigation. So about risks, again, it's an interesting question in trying to distinguish between short-term and long-term risks. Short-term, I would say that there is a war in Ukraine. It's an obvious risk there. Nobody knows how this will unfold. We do see the first repercussions, is the energy crisis and the inflation. But I believe that nobody knows how this will unfold. So, and it definitely will affect everybody. I mean, real estate market in Greece, no matter how well it does, it will be affected. Another problem is the short-term, hopefully short-term, is the, we have an unstable neighbor, obviously. Turkey lately has been a bit unpredictable, a bit aggressive. And if things get out of control here, it will affect the whole economy and real estate including. We need to hold a national response here. I think we have done so far, and we need to keep up in this direction. I mean, long term, I would include climate risk. We don't talk about much about climate risk in Greece, but we should. It's coming. An interesting a fun fact here is, not very fun, but is that real estate globally accounts for 39 of total emissions. So I mean, obviously real estate is quite important in addressing climate change. And so then that's from a policy perspective, but all the floods, fires, and the heat and everything that we see in the weather changing will affect also how we see real estate, how we develop real estate, how we use real estate. So and we should start thinking about it, and the government, I think, should press and motivate more all players in the market to take account of this. Another long-term aspect, but not much, it's not much risk, but I think we need to keep the momentum, and we think we should keep an open mind when it comes to real estate. We should open more. We should be connected with the world and change what used to be in Greece a very small and very stagnated and close-minded market. So that's more of a wish than a long-term risk, but it relates to the future. So hopefully we will go in this way.
Well, this is one of the roles of our Real Estate and Development Committee, to educate people coming from abroad what they're going to face here, and vice versa, educate local people what are the challenges, what should they do with their properties in order to meet international demand. Oriol, how inflation and energy consumption changes your plans? Is it an obstacle, or do you see an opportunity there? I hope I didn't make you comfortable, because
no. I was thinking about the opportunity, but I couldn't look at it. No, the reality is, I mean, inflation and the cost of energy in general. I mean, this is affecting the whole planet, I would say, somehow, because in the US they have similar problems. Not only in Europe. It's true that there is more inflation related. Here it's also energy related. But in any case, I mean, these are issues that we all need to overcome, and they are affecting the different players in the economy in a different way. But they are all affecting the economy. So how to overcome this? The answers depend on the players. In our case, for instance, hospitality has pros and cons. One pro is that it's true that we are setting prices on a daily basis, so this allows you to hedge a little bit against inflation. This is reality. Also, it's a sector that is highly dependent on energy, of course. And here, for me, if I need to find an opportunity, and talking about energy now, the transition towards sustainability, I think it's key. Not only for the sector, but in general, for the country. I mean, I think Greece is highly dependent still on fossil fuels, carbon, oil, and I think the transition towards sustainability, not only to overcome potential energy crisis, but also, as Theo was commenting, in order to have a more sustainable model, it's really, really important. You were talking about long-term risk. I see inflation maybe as a potential mid-term, short-term handicap. But for me, one of the risks talking about Greece in general now is that at the end the country is willing to grow. Yes, and for me this growth needs to be very linked to quality. And this is not easy. But to focus in a qualitative growth linked with a sustainable model, and I would add here also retention of talent and availability of talent, that you know that there was a lot of talent leaving the country during the crisis years. Now it looks like there is a kind of brain gain momentum here. I think the country needs to build on that. For me, that is very important to overcome any future potential risks that may come. That the reality is that we don't know what are the risks. You know, so if you bet on quality, you bet on sustainability and talent, I think those resources should allow you to overcome that. On the other hand, I have to say that Greece is a super resilient country. I mean, you have demonstrated that many times in the past, and that also helps.
Should I ask if you can compare on a high level the Greek market with the other South European markets like Italy or Spain, or should I move to the next question?
No, the truth is that we have hotels in Spain, in Italy, and Greece. So whatever I say, I mean, probably, yes, it's better to skip to the next question. I mean, all the markets have pros and cons. I have to say it's true that comparing Spain, Italy, and Greece as hospitality or destinations, tourism destinations, they have a lot of similarities. But it's true that they have their own, each one has its own problems, I have to say.
Yeah, but about real estate, because I know for sure that the way that hotels are being developed in Spain, in Italy, and Greece are three quite different mentalities there. But let's keep it for later.
Let me, okay, I give you a...
You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, I agree with you. I think Spain in general is a more mature market in terms of hospitality and tourism, and that you can see. And as everything in life, I think that Greece has the momentum now, the power, since it's growing, you know, not to catch up, but to differentiate a little bit from the Spanish model. This is my personal opinion. So I think that is an opportunity. At the end, Spain and Italy, I think they receive more than double the tourists that Greece receives. They have more than double the hotels that Greece has, but Greece has more than triple kilometers of coastline, you know, than Spain and Italy. So for me, that it's something to think about, no, in terms of the potential of the.
I have one last question for each one of you, but it's a separate one. So, Theologos. You know that we have two companies in real estate, and while we have several mandates throughout Europe. So when we go, for instance, to Western Europe, so when we go to France or to the UK or to Spain and say that we have a mandate from a client of ours that we're seeking property here, they're looking at us like we're aliens, knowing the fact that we are Greeks. What can we do to get the Greek companies outside Greece? Because everything's here is at a good momentum, but what about the next step? What we can do in order to export, in a way, our knowledge in the real estate sector, if it is possible?
Well, that's a tough one. That's a tough question, yeah. I don't know. I mean, I would say that that's a matter of culture and how you see your enterprise and your country. If you have your, you know, if you're close-minded, then you only look locally or nationally, then you will never expand, you will never seek opportunities outside your country. But if you see yourself as, your enterprise as a player in you know, the broader area, in Europe, in the world, then yes, you will eventually find a way to go outside the borders of your country. So I first think that that's a matter of culture, of how you see yourself and your country. I mean, perhaps the state here could motivate with incentives, tax, or I don't know, subsidies, extrovert enterprises in real estate. But I don't know how effective that would be. Theoretically, we have that as an option. However, we have seen some investments of national players internationally, but I think they are mainly in the construction sector and commodities that has not to do with real estate. But importantly, in the touristic sector, we recently had the major transaction of Sunny Ecos, the Singaporean wealth fund investing in the platform, and with a huge valuation, which is a national success story. Yeah.
Okay.
So we can, but it depends, I think, on how we see what we are doing.
Okay, I'm referring to this because when I talk to Greek people how to move their business outside Greece, they're also looking at me like crazy. I mean, it's something that puzzles me. So my last question is for you, Oriol. Is Greece a big bet?
For us, I mean, we normally we.
I mean, will investment grade make things easier, or is just something that you see on a more?
For us, Lefteris, I mean, Greece is not a bet. The reality is that, I mean, Greece is a reality. We are seeing that with the portfolio that we have right now. I mean, we acquired the hotels 2.5 years ago. As I commented before, we repositioned 85% of the portfolio already successfully. We have brought some international brands and also top tier 1 brands, national brands. So I mean, the model so far is working well in the country. And as I commented before, I mean, there is this support from the central administration in order to foster this growth and this momentum. And also, we feel comfortable in seeing other players, as I was commenting, other institutional investors coming into the country, which also gives some kind of optimistic views looking forward. So, and I don't think they are betting either in the country. I mean, there is a reality here. I think we are all aware of it. It's true that there is a lot of work yet to be done, a lot. Theo was commenting about bureaucracy. I will add infrastructure, energy transition, all these things that we commented. So there's still a lot of work to be done, but I mean, Greece has a has a good reality right now, especially tourism and hospitality I'm talking about. And we are here to stay. We set up an office. I mean, we have 7 people working here in Athens, so we are here to stay.
Okay. So if there's nothing else that you would like to add in terms of our discussion, I don't know, Theo, you're good.
It's a pleasure.
No, I don't know, Lefteris, if you want to add something.
I would like to add several things, but let's keep the discussion outside. Okay. So thank you both for being able to come here. Thank you for being here for us. Good day.
Okay. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot. Okay. Thank you. Thank you.